everybody. Before we jump into today's episode, we have two sponsors we want to say thank you to for supporting this show. The first one is Routine. You guys have heard me talk about Routine, honestly, back from the early days of the podcast, and it's still a product I use every single morning. They have a prompt for me here. I'm going to do a little impromptu on this ad read today because honestly, this is a product that I truly believe in. And so I'm just going to tell you guys exactly what I think and why. First and foremost, this is a stat that they shared, but when you sleep, you lose between a pound and a pound and a half of water. And most of that's just sweating while you sleep. I used to not know if that was actually true, to be honest. I felt like a pound to a pound and a half of water seemed like quite a bit while I slept. But the one thing I did constantly pay attention to when I started using Routine was just the fact that before using Routine, I always felt a little dehydrated in the morning. And I'm one of those people that when I get up really early usually. I work out. One of the first things I do is some form of fitness. It's just like what I do before everyone's awake. And so it's very easy for me to grab a coffee, pre-workout, an energy drink, something with caffeine in it, and just go. When I am good about using Routine, first, I basically they come in these little single serve packets. They contain half an organic lemon, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, Himalayan sea salt, all 6 essential electrolytes, and they have no sugar in them at all. A lot of hydration products are going to have sugar. So one of the things about Routine that I love is that there's no sugar in there. So when I am good about doing this consistently, I will take one of those single serve packets, I'll throw it in my mixer bottle, and whether I also put in a pre-workout or something with caffeine or I just drink that separately, I try to drink that first. And the days I do that, I do genuinely feel hydrated and just have a different form of clarity all morning. A lot of people have tried to make their own homemade versions of Routine, right? You see people they take a shot of the apple cider vinegar, they put a little sea salt, a little lemon in a drink. This is essentially that, but in a product that you can take with you on the go, have it ready for you first thing in the morning. I know me personally, when I'm groggy rolling out of bed, the last thing I want to do is, squeeze a lemon, cut lemons up, go get the apple cider vinegar, find my sea salt. I just rip this packet open, throw it in my water, drink it, and it's good to go. You can try yours today. If you haven't tried it yet and you've been listening to this podcast for years, just try the damn Routine. Give it a shot. You can use code ShaneWhite30 and get 30% off your first order. So you get 30% off by using code ShaneWhite30 and go to yourroutine.com. To make it even easier, I've added the link to yourroutine.com in the show notes. So just click on the show notes for this episode, click on the link to yourroutine.com, and don't forget to use code ShaneWhite30. All right, guys, today's episode is also brought to you by NeuroRoast. Again, I'm going to go a little off script here. NeuroRoast is a product that I also came across during this year of 2023. They are a coffee company that's helping you optimize your brain function and overall well-being. This is another product that, to be honest with you, when I first started working with it, I was a little on the fence. I was like, do I really want to have mushrooms in my coffee? Well, folks, I will tell you, when I use NeuroRoast, one of the things that has stood out to me the most is I'll back up. People that know me know that I have way too much caffeine, typically. One of the things this year I've done a good job of is cutting out alcohol. Not completely, but predominantly, I don't touch a lot of alcohol anymore. What I think I've actually done the other way, though, is add a lot more caffeine. So I do definitely drink too much caffeine. That's something I need to work on next year, is to try to minimize how much of that. But NeuroRoast is something that has actually helped me because of the way they've formulated their coffee. Like, unlike regular coffee, which is, still something I consume, but NeuroRoast specifically doesn't cause jitters or crashes. Mushroom coffee provides more balance and sustained energy, allowing you to stay focused and productive throughout the day. So the times I do use NeuroRoast, I'll be honest, I just don't feel that jittery, like, I'm jumping out of my chair or standing here at my desk jumping around feeling. So give NeuroRoast a try. They have some really good flavors. I'll be honest too, the two guys that started NeuroRoast are just really good dudes based out of New York, and they're hustling, and hopefully they can get some people to try NeuroRoast this holiday season by listening to this podcast. So for you folks who've been on the fence, I'm telling you, it tastes delicious. They've done a fantastic job of making this coffee not only be functional, but taste fantastic. And if you want to try NeuroRoast, you can use code ShaneWhite. So it's super simple, just ShaneWhite at checkout. you'll also get 30% off. So if you go to neuroroast.com, and once again, I have added that to the show notes. So just click into the show notes while you're listening to this episode. You can click on NeuroRoast link directly. Don't forget to use code just Shane White, and you'll get 30% off your order. Hope you guys love both these products. I'm trying to not only bring you guys products that I use, but that I believe in on the podcast. I'm not taking ad reads for any brands that I don't really believe in. So anyway, hope you guys love both those products, yourroutine.com and neuroroast.com. I've added those links to the show notes. I hope you guys love it. And I got an awesome guest coming up right after this. All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 here of these little mini series we've been running here for NoBul. Kyle, what's up, my friend?
Much.
You're fired up today.
Yeah.
Got the vest, first vest outfit of the season.
Yeah, we went full finance bro look today.
Got to get I should have rocked mine somewhere. We should have gone both vests on the fall. We should have like our pumpkin spice coffees over here and the finance bro vests.
Yeah. Woke up and it was 35 degrees. So yeah, time to bust out the Patagonia.
That's right. It's time. All right. So today we're talking about an extension of a video that we had done in the past around AI video. This one is going to be all around AI imagery. So for anyone who has wanted to or thinks their images on site, obviously we talk mostly about Amazon, but this could be any platform really where you're using images of your products. We're going to kind of go in deep here on a new service we're offering, the value and the struggle that we've dealt with just from running NoBul and getting high quality imagery. And I'll let Kyle take it away. This is definitely his world more than mine, but it's an exciting new offering that we've added outside of video.
Yeah. So the kicking off point for us to launch content creation as a service, again, similar to NoBul, came from a struggle we were having personally with a number of our clients and just in general in the space. We've seen it over the last few years. But the problem that most brands have is producing high quality rendered content that is suited specifically for Amazon typically falls down the list of priorities. And if it doesn't, it's wildly expensive, in our opinion, to create computerized renderings of products, multiple angles, but then also doing text overlay to call out features and benefits. And we can get into why that's important. But there was just this big gap in having very high quality content that was best in class, let's call it, for Amazon. And so,
well, Kyle, let me if you don't mind, let me jump in. I have a good question for you. For everyone listening who probably is thinking like where does images apply or affect me? Explain to everybody how we've been getting images from clients. Let's say we're going to launch a new brand on Amazon.
Sure.
Like how are you and I getting the first images in the first place?
Yeah, so typically the initial images that we work with are just, it's either the renderings produced broadly for the client or it's still photography, which is done typically in a studio. The issue with that is it's not tailored specific for Amazon. What I mean by that is, anyone goes on Amazon.com, they search what they're looking for. You're initially presented with the main image. That's what shows up within search. And that image needs to very, very quickly tell the consumer, what the heck am I? If that image is unclear, or if that image is blurry, or if that image honestly isn't even a computerized rendering, which when product is shot in a still photography environment, and then you take that photography produced image and put it next to a computerized, very crisp, very clean rendering, it stands out in a negative way, quite honestly. The challenge for most brands, quite honestly, is producing 3D rendered content is very, very expensive, or at least has been in the past. You're talking, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to produce for one item, several pack shots. So we typically get like a foundational front-facing, rear-facing, side-facing nutritional facts panel. The problem with those images on Amazon and pasting those on a PDP is you're not telling the consumer anything. Right. So if as a consumer, if I see the front of pack, okay, I know what I'm buying. If I see the nutritional facts panel, okay, I know what that is. I know what the ingredients are. But beyond that, I don't know, what are the benefits? What are the key call outs? What are the dietary benefits? What are, laundry lists of things that you don't understand, which as a consumer, things like gluten-free, high protein, low carb, low sugar, great for pre-workout, great post-workout, great for daily hydration, things like that. you need to say in your images. And the reason why, and we know this, I'm not too sure what the percentage is now, but the percentage of consumers who look at every photo before making the purchase vastly outweighs the percentage of consumers who are reading every bullet, which makes sense given the environment we live in right now with Instagram and TikTok, right? You're more apt to look at pictures quickly than you are to actually read bullet
Well,
points.
it's interesting too. I mean, even on site, I've noticed on almost every PDP now, just like the product page, you have to drill in to ingredients. Like that's a newer thing too. Like Amazon themselves they're kind of hiding a lot of the text just to make it easier to scroll through and see pictures.
Yeah, and at that point, your bullet points become really a way for you to dump key search terms in your bullet
SEO.
points.
Yeah.
But the images themselves, you need to convey features and benefits in the images because that's where your consumer is looking.
Sure.
The other type of content that we've seen perform well in PDP images is doing us versus them. Not necessarily calling out a key competitor directly, but if you do a silhouette of a bottle, consumers are pretty savvy in understanding what that comparison you're making is, or it could just be like, general brand X, or even just like typical category item. And you have a side by side of the pros of your item versus a competitor or a category item. That works really well. So those kinds of pieces of content just aren't typically being produced for direct to consumer because once you have someone on your direct to consumer site, you've got them pretty far down the funnel, I would say.
Sure. And what do you think sorry, finish your thought.
No.
I was going to say the one thing that's interesting is honestly, before getting into the weeds and seeing the data as we've built brands on Amazon post our XBAR, I always had the assumption that we would see some really high quality in studio photography of products. And I always thought it looked really, really good. And sometimes for A+ content and other content on pages, whether it's Amazon or D2C, it does look really good.
Sure.
But what's interesting that I think is something you could hit on, if you look across a lot of at least food and beverage categories, and honestly, even in home and in supplements and some other categories, it's even more prevalent, there's just been this slow transition of real photography switching to renderings. And again, I know Kyle hit on this, but if anyone just jumped in, a rendering just being like a 3D image of the product. So it's actually like a digital version of a physical product.
Yep.
Those have just become so common that now within search results, if you're sitting there with a real life photo next to a rendering, the only word I can use is it just looks shittier. Like it really does.
Yeah,
it just looks like
it looks unprofessional.
Yeah, it looks unprofessional, and you can see it in the conversion rates. So a lot of times, as soon as we switch from real life photography to a rendering on the exact same keywords we're bidding on, we tend to see quite an improvement in just conversions right away. So I just want to call that out because I think it's something that didn't happen overnight. It's been like a slow transition, and now most of the big categories, especially in food and beverage, the big players are all using
they're
renderings.
all renderings.
Everyone is.
Yeah, and then to talk about kind of the solution that we're providing for our clients. So again, the problem with producing high quality renderings that are tailored specifically for Amazon is the cost is outrageous.
Sure.
What we've been able to do is utilize a number of AI tools and then also combine that with our experience of knowing what works and what improves conversion to create a much lower cost option to create images 1 through 6 for every item in a client's catalog, right? And that's from main image, which has to tell the consumer what they're buying, to the secondary image, which should typically be the back of the pack shot, but with features and benefits included. The third image needs to be nutritional facts panels with legible ingredients with features and benefits included. So we go down the list 1 through 6, and we're creating AI generated content at a very low cost comparative to typical, freelancers who are doing renderings.
And I think that the cool thing to pop in there, Kyle, the idea was, it was funny, and wasn't rocket science. We were working with our team on the AI videos, and then realized like, hey, if we're making these really complex moving videos, there's probably a way to stop and make really high quality imagery. So it's kind of an organic thing that came out of a broader process that we were working on.
We probably started with the harder piece of the puzzle for AI content. But I mean, the other benefit too is like the requirements from a brand to produce this content for the PDP is a 2D packaging, flat file, dimensions of the product itself. But then from there, we can build that item in 3D space, which is what a rendering is, and then utilize AI tools to build the secondary images that feature the key call outs and benefits of the product, nutritional facts. We can do it more so like environmental based lifestyle images. So what I mean by that is like not a model drinking a can of whatever or eating a bar of whatever. It'd be, that bar sitting on a picnic blanket, or that can sitting on a table with a gym in the background. Things like that we can very easily create. So it's a phenomenal low cost option for brands to just basically say, hey, either I have nothing or I know what I have isn't tailored for Amazon. Go produce it. The other benefit, obviously, with using AI is it doesn't take months and months to produce this stuff. It's, a couple of weeks from project kickoff to start. So what I would tell brands is like, look, the first thing a consumer is looking at, maybe outside of your title on Amazon, is your images. And they are going to go through the majority of your images before they read all of your bullet points. So before brands go and invest a ton of money in SEO and copywriting, which I would say leverage AI and Chat GPT for that as well, focus on your content, because that's where the consumer is looking, is your imagery. So if there's any brands out there that are interested, please reach out to us. We'd love to work with you on it.
I think to be clear,
good.
Yeah, no, I think the thing to be clear on here at the end too, for anyone listening, which is what we're excited about, is it's not even just a couple components of an Amazon page. We now have a solution that is every image. We have video, obviously, and then A+ content. You're basically, if you just had a product and you wanted to launch on Amazon, we could get you all of the images now, which is really exciting. And I think that's a huge unlock that, many people who are trying to launch on Amazon struggle with.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. We obviously talked all about the PDP images and the carousel. Take that same idea and apply it to your brand story, and then also your EBC content, both of which are portions of A+ content, as well as your brand store, right? Because it's all a matter of creating the content within the correct dimensions, high quality, features and benefits call out, educating the consumer. The concepts are relatively similar. So yeah, we also have the ability to do all of that. So.
Love it. Awesome, man. Well, everyone for listening, thank you. And if you need any help or know someone that needs help, we are here and would love to assist with anything with AI imagery. So awesome. All right, guys, we'll be back next week with another episode.
Thanks, everyone.